Hey friends and welcome. This is Dr. Heather from Ask Dr. Heather. I am actually going to share this to my page. So as you're joining on, let me know who you are and where you're coming from. So I know it's a busy Monday night, so give me just a second. I'm going to work on sharing this. So I think you take this and you have the option to share. So Megan, thanks for joining me. Let me know where you're coming from. Frank, thanks for joining me. I'm actually trying to figure out how to share this to my personal page instead of doing it later, doing it now. So I think you can actually share to your own page. I'm trying to figure that out. Share now. So I'm going to do this, Karen. Let me figure this out. Share now. And how do I do that? I'm trying to share to my own page. Maybe I can't do that. I think I'm going to give up and I'll do it later. Anyway, I wanted to try to share this now. So thank you guys for giving me just a second. Let me try one more time because I'm getting a lot of questions about this is National CRPS Awareness Month. So if you're like me and you've been in the medical field for over 20 years, you might have known it as SUDEC syndrome. It was then renamed RSD, which is reflex sympathetic dystrophy, are known as CRPS, CRPS, chronic regional pain syndrome. What is it? Well, it's a national month, just like we have Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we have Lyme Awareness Month, we have, Alzheimer's Awareness Month, we actually have Chronic Regional Awareness Month, which is November. CRPS is the highest pain syndrome known to man, which means on the McGill pain study, when they talk about pain, it actually is the highest pain syndrome known to man. It is not genetic, so we know that none of my boys would ever get this, that we know of. It is not genetically related. We know it's onset by a crushing injury. I've had a ton of questions like, how did you get this? Why did you get this? You seem to be like a super healthy person. And yes, it's kind of been a bit of an identity crisis for me. So I actually had a skiing accident where I crushed my leg in 2014. I know many of you know that, but I just want to talk a little bit about my journey. So whatever it is that you're going through, I actually want you to actually think about what your journey is like, because you can tell I'm nervous. That's why I'm stuttering. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. I did when I try to share this to my personal page. And I did post some pictures earlier of what some of my body looks like when I'm in a flare-up of what's going on. So when you talk about your health journey, whether it's something overweight or infertility or migraine or diabetes or congestive heart failure, my husband just shared with me that one of his high school friends actually just completed a marathon and he just died of a heart attack. So fitness and health don't always equal the same thing. And we know people can look amazing on the outside, but what's on the inside, that cellular health is so important. So I actually had a snow skiing accident where I crushed my leg and it actually caused my autonomic nervous system to go a little bit haywire. So the pain syndrome actually kicked off and made everything to go out of balance. So my pain receptors don't work right. So what that means, fast forward, is it's called chronic regional pain syndrome. I'm trying to see who's coming in my front door. It could be one of three of my sons or my husband or our dog. Anyway, as you're joining me, let me know where you're coming from. And I want to talk a little bit about my journey because the keto part of my journey is super big. I know keto is super popular out there in the hashtag world today. And I talk a lot about it because it's a really important thing. If you've known me or you've been a patient of mine for well over 20 years, you hear me talk all the time that our body is its own pharmacy. Give it the right food, give it the right platform. Our body can be its own pharmacy. It can make its own pain receptor. It can actually make its own analgesic. It can make its own iron. It can make its own tranquilizers, like it takes calcium, and our calcium is our body's own tranquilizer. It can actually help make our body's own things like dopamine and melatonin. It can, again, make our own body's insulin. It can make its own body's glucose, right? Some people have to take insulin through the pharmacy, but our body can make those own things. It can make its own hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, when it's given the right food. Our body can break that down. However, we know that we are nutrient depleted in the soil. We do have a lot of toxins in the air and in our water and the things we put on our body, in our clothes. But however, a large part of my journey, and I want to share what's worked for me because I've been getting hit on my Instagram, what has worked for you, because RSD or CRPS has no cure. I've actually have letters written from my neurosurgeon to admit me to, or see would someone at Mayo Clinic please see me, because what we had tried, I had spent 3 different weeks at the Carrick Brain Center and nothing was working. So when I was having tremors and I was having seizures and I was having fasciculations, I went on a ketogenic diet. At the moment that I fell, I was in really good shape, being in my late 40s, and I knew that the ketogenic diet could preserve lean muscle mass. I know right now you hear a lot of people doing the ketogenic diet because it helps with fat loss. That is one of the amazing benefits of it, is fat loss. For me, it was preserving lean muscle mass. And as I sat in the wheelchair over the last 5 years, it was preserving lean muscle mass. It was also about preserving brain health. So I also want to talk about that because we have an astonishing number of people being diagnosed with Alzheimer's, dementia, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and very, very young teenagers these days. We're seeing all this happening. I don't know if it's from elite sports or if it's happening from just the overwhelming autonomic nervous system being bombarded in teenagers and kids in their 20s and their 30s. But what we do know is that we have to just stop and pause and say, how can we make the body healthier? So I really wanted to talk a little bit about my journey a little bit more because I've gotten lots of questions in there. But when we talk about healing our body, or what we do to facilitate our body so we can actually have the best capability of healing ourselves, that's what we do at Cardin Center for Wellness. We look at what the interference is and how do we help the body heal. I think I shared with you guys after my revision surgery, I had a ton of problems with sleeping. Our body has to sleep. So that was one of those things. I have to get my body sleeping. I had so much pain, my body wasn't sleeping. So I had to use a lot of different things. Yes, a salt lamp. Yes, I used essential oils. I was using biofeedback. I used a cold blanket, a cold weighted blanket, but you have to get that body in that rhythm, and it doesn't happen overnight. So I had to use several different type of therapies. I used acupuncture as well. I used some glasses, blue blocker glasses also, and made my room really dark to help get my body sleeping, quiet it down. So that was that first platform. I had to keep my diet really clean. I went on the ketogenic diet back in 2014 before anybody was talking about it, before we even had pure therapeutic exogenous ketones. I was trying to find coconut oil. I was mixing it up because I was having such a problem chewing and swallowing because the muscles were getting so weak. Reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Dystrophy, as you know, is muscle weakness. So I was having trouble even blinking my eyes and swallowing and chewing. And I was stirring up a little bit of protein powder, coconut oil with a little bit of nut butter so it would taste better. And that's what I was eating, about 800 to 900 calories of that, trying to get into ketosis because I knew if I could get into ketosis, I had the best chance of actually preserving my lean muscle mass, helping my brain, stopping the seizures, stopping the fasciculations, calming down the nervous system, calming down the pain, to get my body to start sleeping, because ketones deliver oxygen to the brain, to deliver oxygen to the muscle. So I was doing that before this whole ketogenic movement started, but I still didn't feel very good. And I would get super stressed out because I still was not getting into ketosis many days, or because my pain was too high. I was super frustrated. And honestly, the RSD, I'm going to call it RSD because that's what it was called when I took my boards. It's now called CRPS. It robbed me of everything that I love to do. It robbed me of the jobs of being a mom. It robbed me of what I knew I needed to do, which was being a doctor. I think I told you guys, I love to cook, I love to iron, I love to vacuum, I like to clean, all those. I love to do homework, I love to fold socks, I love to sort, I love to sew. I don't really like to read books, actually. So all those things that I love to do as a mom, that disease or that syndrome robbed me of those things. And when I remember visiting Dr. Carrick at the Carrick Brain Center, he goes, "What can we do for you?" I'm like, "Give me my life back. I have to help people. I don't know what else to do. I don't like to sit by. I've got to get back in my clinic. I've got to help people. I've got to be the mom to these poor kids." So I knew what I had to do. And I can tell you that the ketogenic diet was a big key for me. That actually gave me back some of that. If I could keep my body in ketosis, my brain would calm down. The seizures have stopped. The fasciculation had stopped. I can tell you, I've embarrassed my kids, or they're not here, but sometimes the seizures or tics would be so bad, it would embarrass them. It would embarrass my friends. My friends would say, "I don't like to see you like this." And that's a true story. I know I'm out here on Facebook Live, but they're like, "We used to see you be this vibrant, healthy type A person running around doing all this multitasking. And now you're this person in a wheelchair that's ticking and tremoring and looking like you have Parkinson's or ALS." And people like, "I just don't like to see you like that." So, now people see me as an amputee and like, "Yeah, wow, that looks bad." I'm like, "Oh no, you didn't see me with the tics and the tremors and not being able to shower, because even water would actually cause burns on my legs and my hands." And so there'd be long durations where I wouldn't shower, and I was on palliative care. So I am way better now than I was. And I truly believe it was not only my faith and my belief in God and and family, but it was also the ketogenic diet because I know my body is its own pharmacy. Our body is its own pharmacy. Give it the right situation. And we know that ketones increase GABA, it increases dopamine, it calms the body down. My body was so tired and it was so weak, and I had surgery, so my body was susceptible. It had drugs, it had antibiotics, because you know what? To have your leg and pins and screws put in there, they're going to put anesthesia in you. To have spinal surgery, they're going to give you anesthesia and they're going to give you drugs. You have to take them in order to have spinal surgery. So I knew I had chemicals in my body I didn't want, and some of that was not allowing my body to be in ketosis. So I knew where I had to be is in order to do that. And then Prove It came along. And I love this. You know how there's that divine timing? I love that thing. Prove it. Prove it. Prove it that you're going to conquer this disease. Prove it that you're not only going to be a survivor, you're going to be a thriver. Prove it that you're going to actually overcome. I'm always going to have RSD or CRPS. It's always going to be there. It's going to be in my body, but I'm going to overcome it so it doesn't have me. And it's going to give me the quality of life back that I want. So I love that word, prove it. I probably don't talk about it enough, but I love words that, play on words. So we talk about hope. People said, oh, are you going to name your leg that got amputated? Are you going to name your prosthetic leg? And I never even thought about that before, but I would name it things like faith and hope and things like that. And we were talking about doing an Instagram story to bring, inspiration to people. I'd call it like unstoppable or things like that. But that's why I love that word, prove it. Like, prove it that you're going to actually be on the national volleyball team at the age of 50 something and, a CRPS survivor and an amputee, or you're going to play on a women's volleyball team at 50 something. Because that's what I feel like I'm going to do. Or even though I don't like to write, I'm going to write a book about inspiring people, because for some reason this has happened to me, someone who is healthy, someone who didn't want to have to ever take medications or have surgeries, but that's what's happened, and that's where my life has led me. But I always want to inspire people. So the tools that has helped me is absolutely sleep. Absolutely having the right mindset. So I'm showing up today. I went to the pool today for the very first time. I've never swam with one leg before, so that was actually interesting today. She's like, come over here to the deep end. I'm like, how do you get there? She's like, hop. So I was trying to figure out how to swim today. That was actually new and kind of fun. I wish I had cameras for these things so you guys could just see how you try to figure that out. I remember that dolphin movie. Anyway, so for me, like if you said, what's the 5 major things that help you or help your body overcome that? Well, every morning I do try to do my gratitude, or I listen to someone and do my meditation, or I pray a rosary. I take my ketones, I take my vitamins, I have water. Before I have vitamins or ketones, or before I talk, I have my water, because water is so essential for life. I try to put my mind in that gratitude state, because it's so important for BDNF, which is our brain-derived neurotrophic factors, like Miracle Grow for your brain. I do have 2 spinal cord stimulators, because with CRPS, our pain receptors don't respond to things like codeine and morphine. They just don't work. So we can't take those type of pain drugs, but we do have like spinal cord stimulators. So these are battery operated things that are hooked onto my spinal cord that I can use to help control pain or muscle movement. That worked fabulous for me. Some people they don't work well for, but they work great for me, and I can help control muscle tremors and muscle spasms. But then I do my intermittent fasting. I get along with my work, and I don't obsess over my ketone level. I try to just read my body and listen to what it is. But I do think if you're on a ketogenic diet that you do need to check your ketones. I don't want people on being on too low of a level where you're actually letting your body go into catabolism, where you're actually breaking down your lean muscle mass, or you're eating not enough food. I don't think it's good to yo-yo in and out of ketogenic diet. And I know that I'm going to clean up my diet a little bit more. I do try to not drink out of plastic, but sometimes when I travel it happens. So I've got to try to drink more out of glass, filter more out of the phone. But so for me, the biggest things that help me is I think my diet helps a good 30 or 40%. Sleep definitely helps 30 or 40%. I'm going to add over 100, I'm going to tell you, because it varies every day. Gratitude and mindset helps over 30 or 40%. The weather has a little bit to do with how my body does. The amount of stress and the physical activity, it can either help me or it can either hurt me if I overdo it. So I think when you're looking at overcoming something with your body and where things are going, it adds up. There's not one thing that's 100% all in, but know that when you're trying to be 1% better than you were the next day, or 1% better, know that it's not 40% better. No, it's 1%, 1%, 1%. So when I started on the ketogenic diet, my thing is I want to stop the fasciculations. Well, those are gone. I want to stop the seizures. Those are gone. I want to start sleeping. Well, now I'm finally sleeping, and I have been sleeping. I noticed that back in 2015, and then with the surgeries and the amputation, my sleep was all off again. I think it's the hospital because they wake you up like every other hour, and there's so many noises going off. And then I was in rehab, acute rehab for physical rehab for, learning how to walk and stuff like that. And that actually messed up my sleep pattern. And then I, had another surgery, which kind of messed up my sleep pattern. So now I'm finally sleeping again, which is so amazing when you're sleeping. But keeping myself on diet and on point makes a big difference. If I overdo it and I have popcorn, which I love, I'll have flared joints. I'll have redness in my joints. I won't feel good. Besides what the scale does, we talk about non-scale victories, but I know this time of year, there's so many people that are so like, I want to make sure I look good in my Christmas dress. I want to wear my New Year's Eve little black dress. I want to look, one more belt buckle down. So what I want to do tonight, because I know people, and I want to say thank you for all your prayers and thank you for all your support and learning more about this, because this is about being awareness for a rare disease that has no cure. There's so little funding because nobody can win at this. So they just don't even take you at Mayo Clinic. But the more awareness we can bring to this, and people say the pain was so bad you amputated your leg, and my answer is yes. And people said, are you regretting it? My answer is no. My resting heart rate is down 15 to 20 points. My vision is much better. My sleep is tremendously better. I can wear shoes and socks. I can wear necklaces now. I can wear earrings now. There's so many things that are so much better because RSD, everything hurts your skin. Wind hurts your skin. Water hurts your skin. Combing your hair hurts your skin. I remember there was one time I washed my face or something, or I did something and put some makeup on or brushed or flossed my teeth, and my whole face looked like I had Bell's palsy because it got in a spasm. Remember going to the dentist one time, my whole face clenched like in a hard muscle spasm for a very long time. So anything like that can tick it off. So we call it comorbidity. So when you talk about a reflex dystrophy, it can affect your heart, your kidneys, your intestines, your reproductive organs, your bladder, your colon. It can affect everything starting of your body because everything hooks to everything else. But what we do know is that you can actually calm the nervous system down. You can calm down complex regional syndrome. You've got to cut out the sugar because sugar feeds inflammation. We've got to increase the ketones because ketones give oxygen back to that. And our body is such a wonderful thing. It does want to heal. It does want to come to a major place where there's harmony within our body. But you have to identify what those places are that's actually injuring the body or causing the body to be out of balance. I do acupuncture. I don't do needle acupuncture, either laser or microcurrent acupuncture, probably 3 to 5 times or 7 times a week, just depending on where the pain is, and that absolutely helps me. I'm doing ultrasound on the end because I just got my leg last week, and my first day in my new socket did 400 feet in just under 9 minutes. I know that's record fast for you guys. I didn't know she was timing me. So ultrasounding on my leg is helping. I use a combination of blue emu oil and magnesium cream and a couple other essential oils. The Kobaye, I never say that right, that someone else had recommended that works for phantom pain. So I try to do things as natural as possible, eat as organic as possible. But I also know that sometimes I have to give in a little bit. I'm not going to call it dirty. I'm just going to call it easier, what I can do. I'm not going to call it lazy either because I'm not being lazy of what I'm doing. And I don't think you're being lazy. So please don't call yourself lazy, and please don't call yourself doing it dirty. Just say I'm just having to do what I can do. It's the best I can do today. Because when people start calling themselves, I'm lazy, I'm dirty. No, you're just doing the best that you can do. If you've got to use a Weber spice that has paprika and onion pepper in it and onion salt, and instead of you getting 15 vials out and making your own Chipotle seasoning, that's okay, guys. Please don't call yourself dirty or lazy. Just say, this is the best I can do today. And I want to give you my word. I'm going to share more of those easy tricks that we do at our own home. Like I cooked a couple meals for you guys to say it can be super easy. And be mindful, because every little change that you do, just going to bed 15 minutes earlier and doing 2 gratitude things every night can make a huge difference in your life. Drinking 4 more ounces of water. Maybe you should be drinking 100 ounces and now you're drinking 50, but just going to 60 ounces will make a huge difference. So write down where those deficits might be in your day. Maybe you're not eating as well as you should. Maybe you're having 19 sodas and now you're not. Maybe you're only sleeping 6 hours a day with a TV on. Just turn the TV off. Don't tell me you have to have the TV on to go to bed. Put some white noise on. Send me a message. I'll give you a free app for some some biofeedback that you can listen to while you sleep. I will give you a free 30-day app for that because it helps. It helped me tremendously sleep. The other thing I want you to do is that we are doing a beta testing. So you've never tried keto, you've never tried exogenous ketones, and you go, oh my gosh, this worked for Dr. Heather. I want to know what's happening. I said, this is a time for me. I want to try to see what that does, if it helps with brain cognition. And what we do know is that you have a family member with diabetes, or you have someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, and now we know that you need to start prevention at the age of 25, and you're over 25. I'm over 25. I just found this out. And now we know that if you don't have anyone with Alzheimer's or dementia, then you need to start prevention at the age of 35. If you're over 35, then we need to help you figure that out. We are actually starting a new beta testing phase. And I know that a lot of us out there have kiddos that have played contact sports, whether it be lacrosse or swimming or soccer or gymnastics, or maybe your kid just fell on the stairs because they were clumsy a few times, or, just played hard as a little kiddo, that they've had some boinks to their brain or their head. We know that there's actually called CTEs, or they've been in a car wreck. We know now that we can reverse some of those bruising on the brain through MCT oils and through ketones. So when we start looking, as we all become over the age of 50 or hitting over that half a century old, and we look at that anti-aging and what happens to telomeres, or that pruning process in our body, now we know that we have an opportunity. So I'm just asking you, because people say, what's helped you? Because there's so many people on so many pharmaceuticals, and they do call RSD or CRPS, and I don't even like to say this words, they call it the suicide disease, which would never be an option for me. It's not in my faith. That's not what I would ever do to my children. The reason they call it is because it is the highest pain syndrome known to man. I know people like throwing up hearts, but that's the reason, because the pain never goes away. And you just have to tell yourself, it'll get a little bit better tomorrow. It'll get a little bit better tomorrow. That's why you have to, for me, it's music. I remember trying to take out my stitches, and it was one stitch at a time because it was so horrifically bad after my revision that my skin was so mad it overgrew the stitches, and it was one stitch at a time. I don't know, there's 30 or 40 stitches, and my husband held my hand. I had music in my ear, and I were just taking one stitch at a time. But there's things that that can help calm your body down. So breathing through it, exercising through it, get your body moving. And then again, close that circle off. Make your circle a tribe of people, that really can support you, whatever's going on in your life. Don't let those people that shame and blame around you, because life is too short to be subject to those negativity things. But I guess the other thing is that I have so many people saying that I want to do this. Like, I want to figure out what this keto thing is. If it's going to help you, slow down the progression of the disease that you have, which is RSD or CRPS. But I know if it helps your brain, people who have other things, people who have anxiety or depression, or who have diabetes, or have insulin resistance, or who have a family history of, and we can start talking about all these letters. What we need to know is, if you're fatigued, if you know that you were in the 80s lady and you were carb loading like I was doing and running marathons and triathlons, and now we know that was exactly the wrong thing to do. If you had hormonal imbalance and you had PCOS and you had infertility issues, that's because you were carb loading like they told us to do. Now we know it's the wrong thing. So we have a brand new program we're going to offer for the next couple months, because the average person, again, I didn't do keto for weight loss or weight control, even though I know I could lose probably 10 or 12 pounds because I've been sitting in a wheelchair for 5+ years. It'll be 6 years in March. No wheelchair, no longer. Crutches, or my prosthetic leg, which I'm not naming. Anyway, do this with me. 10 days. Do it with me. Just send me a message and say, I'm going to give it a try for 10 days. It's a keto challenge. We're going to have, we're not going to have strict meal plans. We're going to use exogenous ketones. And if you're brand new, we're going to give some electrolytes, because that's super important. Electrolytes are essential for your body. Your body does not make them. You must get them from the foods that you eat. Electrolytes plus water equal electricity. So it turns your brain on your body and makes a connection happen. So it makes those synapses happen, if you ever remember drawing them in biology. But I can tell you, it's one of the major things that has helped my body get that connection back. I can tell you when my brain feels on target. I can tell you when I have had pain brain. I can tell you when I have had a seizure brain, and when I've had fasciculations, and when I've almost had panic attacks knowing that I could not figure out how to sleep. I remember laying in the bed going, when is my husband going to be home? Because I can't do this for like 2 or 3 more minutes. Or when is somebody going to call me? Or when I got a note from Rhonda, just one little note that would actually just make my day, and I would just dwell on that message for 2 or 3 hours just to calm my brain down. Or I would reread cards or messages that people would send me because the pain was that bad and lasts that long. And then I found some things that would help. And then I found that, instead of waiting for my body to get back in ketosis because I was so upset about the pain or I was so upset about that, I could drink some ketones, and that could actually raise, and this is real science, guys, I'm not making up, 100 years we studied this, it could raise my ketone level, which would raise the oxygen tissue to my brain, raise the oxygen to my muscle to my feet, it would raise the oxygen, the nitric oxide to my right eye so I could get my vision back, it would stop the vertigo, and I'm just telling you my own story. Yes, a lot of people do this for fat weight loss. You're going to hear a lot of people saying, hey, join me for keto because the average person gains like 10 to 12 pounds before January. That's true. And if that's for you, let's go all in because keto does take away cravings. Like I still like popcorn, but I can say no to it. There's other things I used to crave like chips and salsa. I don't even care about it anymore. I don't even care about coffee. Like I used to drink like a whole pot of coffee. It took my cravings away, which is awesome because it's really hard to drink coffee on crutches, but I still do like a cup of coffee. So please stop by and have a cup of coffee. But I'm just saying, if you want to try it, we're doing like a 10-day kind of beta testing challenge thing because we're wanting to collect stories because stories and experiences are real. We read these papers about rats and mice and people in a controlled study. Now we want to have people in an uncontrolled study, like you're just really eating your low carb healthy way, your paleo way, your mom's favorite recipes, and you still want to have a great low carb, clean kind of pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving. That's well too. And we don't want to do it for 90 days. We just want to do it for 10 days. But I want to do this on CRPS Awareness Day. This is the 4th of November, which is the annual day. Again, wearing my orange all month. So if you have orange, even though orange is not my color, somebody said it was my color today, even though orange is not my color, I'm going to try to wear orange all month long if I can. I've got to get some orange scarves or something. Please wear orange for something out there that someone's suffering from, something that is incurable, that has no incurable means there's no cure for it. There's a very, very short list. There's a whole bunch of pain drugs out there, but now the doctors are cutting the pain drugs. And so I just want to say this, if someone is diabetic, type 2 diabetic, or if someone has an autoimmune disease, they allow them to increase their medication on those things. They allow them to continue to increase if their autoimmune disease gets out of balance. And my mom has had an autoimmune disease, and they've allowed them to continue to increase that. But if you have a incurable pain syndrome, they don't let you have pain drugs. I tried to get, after my amputation, I asked for 12 tablets to help after my 6 weeks of amputation. I was told no, because I can't have pain drugs, even though I have the highest pain syndrome. I'm just letting you know what's happening in the world out there. So what happens? I got to take it into my own control. I use my essential oils. I use my breathing technique. I up my ketones. And that is a real science we heard last week in order to help your body do that, because my body was under so much stress. I told you guys my hair was falling out from stress and not sleeping. And it was so much repair for my body to protein that actually was a gift to give my body that, and increasing coconut oil. I don't want to eat 18 tablespoons of coconut oil. It's like 18,000 calories. It's not. It's like 1,500 calories, but I don't want the 1,500 calories. But I just want to see who wants to join me, and I really did want to come on because I got a lot of questions. Can you please explain what you have? I saw your feet, I saw your face, I saw your hands, but when I see you on your Facebook Lives, you actually look normal. Yes, there are strategic times where I do not come on a Facebook Live because I am in a flare, and I'm sorry if I've actually deceived you on that. I never meant to do that, but were days where my body's in a flare. The worst thing I could do is get in front of this and see scrolling on there. You can see right now my right eye is a little funky right now because I've got my computer over here, but I do that actually for self-care. I don't do that for anything else. Somebody else said, well, you haven't posted anything on YouTube for 8 months. It's because I just was doing self-care and I wasn't doing minimal computer time, and I haven't posted a lot on my blog. So I appreciate you guys following my YouTube channel, which is Ask Dr. Heather. It's all for free. I had somebody help me. I actually paid someone to help me, not to clean my house, but I paid somebody to help me with my YouTube channel because people seem to get a lot of value out of that. I'm going to post some more keto cooking recipes, but you guys, keto is so easy. Grab a chicken, grab some broccoli, put some butter on it, grab some beef, make sure it's the stuff that's clean, and grab some green beans and put some bacon bits. And get a Cobb salad, get a Greek salad, but don't get the bread. Get a taco salad and just get some lettuce and get some pork rinds. Get a steak and get a nice big salad and a bunch of olive oil. You guys, it's so simple. Just keep the bread and pastas away. People try to make it hard when they try to make all these fancy keto, beautiful cheesecake treats. Don't make it hard. And the number one thing I'm going to tell you guys, just decide to eat when you're hungry. That's all I'm going to ask. Like, decide, eat when you're hungry. 2 to 3% dehydration, people end up eating when they're simply just thirsty because they said, I can't even tell when I'm hungry. I'm like, well, first get hydrated and then you can tell. But again, we've got a limited amount of room. I'm going to do a very small amount of coaching. I usually take 100 people in these groups. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do a very small amount. I've already had 12 people say yes. I'm going to do just a small amount of group. It is a 10-day, very targeted keto challenge group. You're not going to eat a ketogenic diet. I'm going to give you some suggestions for meals. You can eat how you want and what works for you. We are going to suggest that you cut out I call it the garbage, which is the processed sugary foods. And we're going to be doing it over the next really couple months. So we're going to take little groups and little groups and little groups. And that actually kicked off live tonight at 8 o'clock. And then you're going to get to record your own challenge issue. So we're calling it a challenge because it's a challenge for you. You're going to log in every day how you feel. That's the challenge. You're going to log in and write a diary how you feel every single day. And then I'm going to answer some questions. If you guys have questions about RSD or CRPS, please ask them. I want to answer what I can. I have done a lot of research. I've talked to some leading thought leaders. I've really tried to educate myself on it because I've tried to get into studies. I have type 3. There's three different types, type 1, type 2, and type 3. And what's odd is if you have type 3 of cancer, which is, a very aggressive type, then you get into a lot more studies. If you have RSD, which is a type 1, which is mean only one limb is affected or one nerve, then it seems that you get to qualify for a lot more studies. Mine was systemic, which means I crossed my midbrain and my brain, which means if you hit my left knee, my right knee would swell. If you put a sock on my right leg, my left leg would swell. If you put a mitten on my right hand, my other hand would make the same mitten marks. It was crazy because it crossed my midbrain. So I didn't qualify for any studies, even across broad. So I do want to take time to ask a couple questions here. And you guys, please share this. I mean, there's no secrets here. I just want to share some real information out there. And so Karen Saylor is saying, I really hope that exogenous ketones are the answer to prevention dementia. So Karen, when we were in Louisville last weekend, we heard from Dr. Lillian, I can't say her last name, but she gave cutting edge information, her imaging that she showed. And I'm going to use it like a parked car. So if we had a parking lot and then we try to put gas in cars, like we use glucose for cars, what happens in a damaged brain, whether it's PTSD, dementia, or Alzheimer's, is that when there's a damaged brain, the glucose transportation system, remember glucose from any types of sugary grains, carbs, organic fruit, organic vegetables, corn, wheat, any of that kind of stuff, your body breaks that down into glucose via insulin. Well, the glucose transportation system, the body can't take it up. It just gets stuck. So then you start getting these brain farts or these fogginess, like they just can't recall a name or something like that. But what they have found, and Dr. Cunane, who's a leading thought leader, shared this last year, what they have found that the body can still uptake ketones 100%. And they see these cells waking up again. Think of it like I'm a mom. So I'm a boy mom of 4 boys. So like think of it again like a brain is a big circle and you have a whole bunch of little cars or cells in there. And if you put glucose on them, some of them wake up and start running around and some of them don't. But if you put ketones on them, 100% of the brains, even the ones that we thought were damaged and were no good anymore and we couldn't get them back, they all start uptaking the ketones for several hours. And they use the word reversal. They use the word, we're reversing Alzheimer's, we're reversing dementia. Dementia, 60% of dementia, they're losing the phospholipid layer bilayer. So we find phosphatidylcholine in the raw egg yolk, and we're also finding it in raw meat, like prime rib specifically. We find phosphatidylcholine. In the 143 oil that I like to use, that Dr. Mary Newport, who wrote the book on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and she's got a brand new book out. She's been doing this forever because her husband, at the age of 52, the young age of 52, had a sudden onset of Alzheimer's disease. She found that 60% of people with dementia have a reduction in the phosphatidylcholine, and that's actually a lot of literature out there. I'm talking fast, guys. I'm sorry, it wasn't going to be this long. But she has actually developed a 143 oil, which means I love you, but the ratio of the MCTs are 4:3, so it's very digestible. It uptakes very well in the brain. And the C's just means the different carbon fibers of that, of the different carbons for your brain. She also has added phosphatidylcholine, which surrounds the outer cell membrane of the brain. So that's where we're seeing that repair. Plus, she put lauric acid in there. Lauric acid is monolaurin, which is antiviral, antiparasitic, antifungal. There's a lot of research out there saying that we're finding Alzheimer's and dementia, there's like bugs in the brain. So we're finding things like she thought maybe her husband had Lyme disease or had a tick bite before. There's some theory that there's syphilis out there. I mean, there's Alzheimer's. Again, I did a Facebook Live with her on Low Carb KC about bugs in the brain. That is her next book, that we're finding that some of this is not only the sugar brain, because we've called Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, but we're seeing this with some of the dementia. You know, it's not just from smoking. It's not just from brain damage. That why is this happening so fast in a younger population? Some of it we're finding that it can be from different types of viruses or bacteria. So I'm just re-sharing literature that's out there that you can find out there on Dr. Google, on peer-reviewed clinical research article, on like PubMed and some other stuff. So Frank says, doctors can't get fibromyalgia right, autoimmune, leaky gut. Frank, you're right. You got to eat the right food. You got to stop eating so many hours. You got to stop eating. Don't eat more than 8 hours. You got to eat real whole foods. It doesn't have to be keto food, real whole food. You got to eat green leafy foods where the B vitamins come from. So I want to thank you guys for watching me, and thanks for joining. Please share. Please let me know where you're coming from. My passion is to bring awareness this entire month. I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about this, about invisible or chronic pain. So many people are suffering from chronic pain. You don't see fibromyalgia. You don't always see complex regional pain syndrome. Yes, you saw it on me. My feet were purple and black and red because I could not wear them. People have CRPS in their pelvic area, which you would not see. They have it on their back that might be covered. A lot of people, you will see it in their feet because it's from a crushing injury, or their hand because it's in a crushing injury. So you will see it there, but there are a lot of other diseases like ulcerative colitis or irritable bowel, when people can't get out because they don't know what's going to happen. They may need to use the bathroom at other times. So there's a lot of other things going on out there, but when we start breaking it down, it's very simple. What's causing the imbalance in the body? What's causing the body to not function properly? Like an bowel issue, not going to the bathroom 2 times a day. Why is the body attacking itself in autoimmune disease? Why is it dumping over the muscles with fibromyalgia? Why is it dumping over the muscles? It's something that you're eating. Your body's meant to have the food. The liver's, well, we won't go into that, but small intestine is to absorb the food for nutrients. We have essential fatty acids. We have essential amino acids. Our body needs electrolytes from the foods that we eat to actually cause the electricity to signal the brain. The fats actually increase that, signal the brain, from the brain to the 12 organs in our system. But we don't have essential carbohydrates. We were never meant to have essential carbohydrates. But yes, there's carbohydrates in vegetables, and there's carbohydrates in meats, and there's carbohydrates in nuts and seeds and fruits like avocados and coconuts and lemons and limes. So yes, you're still getting those. It's just choosing the right ones. And the cleaner that you can eat without overstressing yourself out, because I do find that people get in a rabbit hole and they stress themselves out by trying to count everything. With this 10-day program that I would love to have you guys join me, we're not going to have you counting everything. We're not going to have you measuring everything. It's not going to be something you're confined to your home with. We're just going to have you do some beta testing for us, and we want you to have a real experience with you, and we want your information. So I was able to be a part of a beta testing challenge back in 2015, and it absolutely changed my life. It changed my mother's life. It actually helped reduce her hemoglobin A1C. She did not change her diet, but because ketones took away the cravings, because ketones helped her sleep better. It actually helped take her gut inflammation down. The research studies are out there. Ultimately, what happened is her A1C, her blood sugar started to come down because she wasn't craving. She wasn't having a yo-yo. And what we have found through scientific information, this was back in 2015, is that we know that we're getting more oxygen. So then she didn't need her CPAP anymore. And then sharing my mom's own information, that this really did change her life when she's not having to have a CPAP anymore. Back in 2015, 2016, her A1C was coming down. She was more active. She was getting around. Yes, she fell and broke her knee. That's a setback. There's things that do happen in life, but it really did help her get through some health challenges that she might not have gotten through before. So I'm just going to challenge you guys. Please private message me. I want to have about 20 of my good friends just join me. I want to have just a nice little intricate group that we do this. We're going to do 2 months of challenges, 10 days each time. Let me know. I'd love to have you join us and do this with me. So thanks for joining me. But please share this. This is CRPS RSD Awareness Month. You can share pictures of my legs. You can share pictures of my face. You can share pictures off the web. If you go to rsd.org, you can go to crps.com and you can share their information off Instagram. Tons of people, because we want this information out there. Again, somebody's got to find a cure. Hashtag find a cure. Let's do this. Let's do it together, because we know connection is the cure. And one of the big things that has helped me is having an amazing support tribe who has supported me unconditionally. and has prayed for me and has brought food to my house for my kiddos because they know I'm a foodie, and knowing that my kids have amazing food has been super important. People coming over and making keto fat bombs and keto waffles has been super important for me. Keeping my mouth and my body dairy free has been important for me. So you guys have a great day. I'm going to sign off because I want to be mindful to you guys in your time and be mindful to my blue light and my screen time. And you guys have an amazing day, and I'll be checking back in with you in a couple days. But please share this. If you're watching on replay, watch replay. I know I was super long today, but thanks for the hearts, and thanks for the thumbs up, and thanks for joining me. And you guys have a crazy, amazing day and good health and happiness. This is Dr. Heather from Overland Park, Kansas, at my own home here in Overland Park, Kansas. I'm going to sign off before it gets loud. You guys have a great day, but again, let me know where you're coming from. Let me know what your story is. I want to hear, because stories are so important. I love to hear stories. Again, I don't like to read, but I love to hear stories. So drop a video down below. Let me hear your story, or send me a video. I'd love to hear your story. You guys have a great day.